All right, so last article of the night, and this one is titled Ron DeSantis is forcing Florida colleges to remove their LGBTQ plus inclusive courses. And those aren't the only ones on the chopping block. And it was a bit ironic. They changed the ads now on the site, but on the article where they're talking about how Ron DeSantis is trying to make Florida less desirable, there was an ad for the Florida Keys. So, yeah. I found that a bit ironic. So anyway, to the article. Florida's 12 state universities are removing any classes that may distort significant historical events or teach identity politics in order to conform to SB 266, a law passed by the state legislature in 2023, which prohibits schools from spending state or federal funding on anything that advocates for diversity, equity, inclusion, or DEI policies, promotes political or social activism. The law also resulted in the shutdown of LGBTQ plus student centers and cultural support programs on campus. Now, I'm worried about the distort significant historical events part. Because it's obvious what teach identity politics means. But what exactly is being distorted by historical events? And I'm concerned that it's going to be some bullshit like the myth of the happy slave or something. Anyway, as a result, colleges and universities are removing classes like anthropology of race and ethnicity, introduction to LGBTQ plus studies, sociology of gender, women in literature, Chinese calligraphy, the history of food and eating, humanities perspectives on gender and sexuality, social geography, a class on magic, witchcraft, and religion, as well as social problems class that examines issues like racial and gender inequality and crime. Okay, some of these, I understand why, just by looking at them. Okay, I understand why they're getting rid of them, because their poor little sensibilities are in danger. But anthropology of race and ethnicity, okay, racist want to be racist, all right. Introduction to LGBTQ plus studies, again, bigots want to bigot. Sociology of gender, all right. I guess sexism. Women in literature, well, we can't have that now, can we? I mean, a woman's place is in the kitchen. Why would we want to talk about women in literature? I mean, that's boring. They just support the men, right? Or maybe they think that that's a code for soft porn. I don't know, because Harlequin novels are a thing. Chinese calligraphy. Now, why the hell would that be a problem? What is it about Chinese calligraphy that is so scary? Because it has something to do with China? Seriously, what is the problem with that course? The history of food and eating. Again, what the hell is wrong with that? What's the justification to remove that? Humanities perspectives on gender and sexuality, that's obvious. Social geography. Okay. That's talking about cultures. Again, what's wrong with that? Unless the people doing this are assuming that the only culture worth teaching is the U.S. culture, I guess, which would expand to Chinese calligraphy. A class on magic, witchcraft, and religion. Well, we can't exactly teach Wiccan now, can we? As well as social problems, because we don't want to discuss social problems, because, like it says, it discusses racial and gender inequality and crime. And, we can't allow that, because then people might see nuance in things as opposed to the black and white world that people like Ron DeSantis want you to live in. Okay. The bill allows officials in the state's university system's Board of Governors, filled with appointees of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, to review colleges' core curriculum classes for any theories that systemic racism, sexism, oppression, and privilege are inherent in the institutions of the United States and were created to maintain social, political, and economic inequalities. So, in other words, reality. If officials find such content, the curriculum can be removed, realigned, or expanded to stop such viewpoints. Right, because obviously straight white men, Christians, white men, are way too sensitive. They're too thin-skinned that they can't have their little feelings hurt by pointing out that forever it's been a man's world, whereas simultaneously wanting to maintain that world. So, yeah. They don't want you to know that it's a man's world and they're privileged, but at the same time, they don't want to relinquish that privilege. Some of the aforementioned classes were removed, while others had their general education designations removed from them, meaning that they're now only offered as electives to upper-level students majoring in specific disciplines rather than as an available class for all students to fulfill their general education requirements. Some of the classes have had their public descriptions and student outcomes changed to avoid violating the law. You've got to be kidding me. The Board of Governors will look over each school's proposed course listing for the 2025-26 academic year and make suggestions over which courses should be altered or removed. Schools that refuse could lose vital state funding or be targeted by DeSantis and the board for other penalties. Critics have said that the law violates academic freedoms. Yeah, big time. Forces colleges to accept government-approved viewpoints because, that doesn't violate the First Amendment or anything. Will drive talented educators and students away from Florida's universities and could even cause some schools to lose their national accreditations from groups that require DEI programs as a critical part of higher education. Yeah, I think that's the point. I think Ron DeSantis wants to destroy education. I mean, that's the new Republican model. Let's destroy especially public education. Oh, good. I'm getting that ad back about going to the Florida Keys. Other professors and department chairs have complained that the law is so broadly written that it's unclear what's allowed and what's forbidden. Of course, because that way, Ron DeSantis and his goons can decide on a whim to just remove a class, and they don't have to give a reason. So, yeah. That is the point. The powers to make these decisions have traditionally been left up to colleges and universities, but the law is part of DeSantis' war against DEI policies and his plan to shift his state's schools toward a conservative ideology. Because, it's not enough that private schools do that. He needs to force all schools. That's how little he thinks of his worldview. He's so scared that his worldview could be wrong that he must force everybody to accept his worldview. Anyway, so you can't get an abortion in Florida, and now you can't get an education in Florida. And if DeSantis had his way, migrants wouldn't be working in Florida. So he's trying to completely destroy the state. Actually, he also tried to completely destroy it by trying to get Disney to leave, the state's biggest employer. So, with friends like that, Florida doesn't need any enemies. DEI has basically been used as a veneer to impose an ideological agenda, and that is wrong, DeSantis said while signing the law in May 2023. If you want to do things like gender ideology, go to Berkeley, go to some of these other places. You don't just get to take taxpayer dollars and do whatever the heck you want to do and think that's somehow okay. So basically, he's saying that you taking taxpayer dollars means that he gets to decide what colleges and universities teach. Okay, cool. It's funny because isn't that what you do? You take taxpayer dollars and then decide to do whatever the hell you want to do and think that's okay. But colleges and universities can't do that. Okay. Nothing wrong there. In 2022, DeSantis also signed the so-called Stop Woke Act, which forbids schools and businesses from offering educational programs on racism and gender-based discrimination. The law is currently on hold as a court considers its impact on our constitutionally protected rights to free speech. God, I hope that it's overturned because Ron DeSantis is seriously trying to destroy Florida. I don't know when he's up for re-election, but please, Florida, do the right thing and get rid of him. Federal Judge Mark E. Walker, who blocked the Stop Woke Act in 2022, called the law positively dystopian, stating that it officially bans professors from expressing disfavored viewpoints in university classrooms while permitting unfettered expression of the opposite viewpoints. What countries do that sort of shit? Communist countries. The ideology that the people like Ron DeSantis are more than happy to peg to the Democrats. Yeah, they're not the ones who are doing that. They're not the ones who are saying that only one viewpoint can be taught. No. That's the Republican Party. That is today's Republican Party, especially the MAGA. That's what they're doing, not Democrats. Professors enjoy academic freedom so long as they express only those viewpoints of which the state approves, Walker said of the law. Exactly. It's like the joke about Henry Ford and his Model T. You can get it in any color as long as it's black. Same thing. So that is the end of that article. So I think I'm done with the articles for today. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.